Hey, what's going on, guys? On today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to drop the transmission on your Acura MDX, a first-gen Acura MDX. There's not too much information on these vehicles out there video-wise. I didn't get too much time to record this, but what's involved with taking it out compared to a normal transmission here. So before we start, the stuff I didn't record, what I'd like to say is that up top, what we're going to be taking off first is just anything that's in the way that's going to be like the air intake tube only, the battery tray, etc. You'll see a lot of electrical connectors up top too. So you're going to take up every electrical connector on there. That's for every shift solenoid that you find. And I guess you'll also see a ground on there too. Just anything up top that's going to be connected to the transmission, you want to remove all that. Also, you're going to be removing the power steering pressure line at the power steering pump, because that's going to go down with the rack, because we're going to be dropping the rack when we're dropping the subframe. So that's going to get disconnected there as well. Also, you're going to take off the underneath the car when you get all the splash trays and stuff removed there and the wheels off. You're going to be removing the power steering return hose, which is at the subframe as well. And that's just held on with a clamp because it's low pressure. So let's get into this video. After everything's physically off of the transmission, you're going to have the Bellhousing bolts underneath it. Once you get the shift cable removed there as well, you'll see the two 14 mils here. Those are the two bottom ones in this picture. And then you'll see two 17 mils on the left-hand side. That's going to be on the back side of the engine. And those are just going to be, those four bolts are going to be what's going to be on the bottom side of the transmission. Up top, you're going to have your two starter bolts. Those are already gone. So in these pictures, the bolts that you see that are coming the other way through this cardboard are the two up top, and then the one on the side there is on the side that's on the driver's side there. So total, there should be 7 bolts and then 2 starter bolts. Also, you want to drop the exhaust. You should be able just to take off the mid pipe. That's just where the section, the J section, where it meets a cat. Unfortunately, in my case, my cat bolts were rusted. So I just took the next option, dropped the whole exhaust here. It goes underneath the axle from the factory, so I didn't have to cut it off. I just had to undo the hangers, drop everything down. Doing it this way, you will have to disconnect the secondary O2. Either way, you're going to have to disconnect the primary O2 sensor. And then the wiring, make sure that's loose and not in the way. So once the primary O2 sensor is disconnected, what I chose is just to unclip the harness, drop it down, then do that with the primary one as well. Once that exhaust is out of the way, you're going to have access to your transfer case. Again, this is where it starts being a little bit more different compared to a regular transmission. This transfer case is just bolted in with these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts. I'm bad at counting, as you can see here. Then once those bolts are out, there's a big O-ring that holds it in the middle, so it's going to take a little bit of precision with the pry bar around the surface to pop the transfer case out. Once that's out, you'll free up a lot more room around the transmission. Next step, this is where I got creative. We're going to have to hold the engine in place because we're going to be dropping the subframe out. Whole 2x4, I stacked it vertically, the strength on the 2x4. So you can see I got everything screwed in place. Even that cross beam, it looks like it's slotted in place, but I put one screw there just to hold it as well on both sides. And then double screwed everything else. The long 2x4s is 24-inch ones that are just resting on each fender, pushed up on the side of the fenders there. And those ones aren't screwed to the car itself, it's just resting on there. But you can see I went all the way up to the hinge as far as I could, and then close to the headlight, but not resting on the headlight. I also just screwed in this kickstand here just in case, and that kind of braces it up against the hood hinge just to keep it from moving vertically on me sideways. And then to suspend the engine, I took off I think it was an evap solenoid, like a purge solenoid, right on top of the throttle body, just 2 10 mils. Swung that out of the way, and that's where I wrapped up my chain. That's where Honda says to wrap up their chain when they're doing it, just the neck of the throttle body. So it's been safe, that's where I put it. So here's the point about dropping the subframe out. I got the subframe just resting on 2 jack stands here. You got, I think there are 4 14 mils from the pass on the driver's side lower subframe where the mounts are. It's a driver's side mount there. Then you'll have the one mount up front, and in the rear you'll have the rear mount, which is 2 nuts, I believe 14 mil, and then one long 14 mil bolt that you can just get from the bottom impacting down. So I just put some jack stands underneath the subframe, jacked it up here, and that pulled the subframe down and left the engine and transmission in the car. I later moved the K-frame out of the way, that way I could get my trans jack in the way, that way I'm able to pull the transmission down. Now we got plenty of room. I see we took the suspension down with it. I left the lower control arms attached to the knuckles. I disconnected the tie rod ends. I disconnected the end links. The axles obviously go. And that's how we left it. Also, you're gonna need to remove this bracket right here. This, once the Bellhousing bolts are all out, if your engine's not moving out of the way, first make sure your half shaft is removed from the vehicle, the intermediate shaft on where the axles connect to. This right here is the front engine bracket, the radiator side bracket. This one has 3 14 mils. The one on the left hand side at 9 o'clock attaches to the engine. The one on the right hand side attaches to the transmission. So make sure that's taken off, and that's probably what's holding up on your transmission. So there you go, there's your transmission. So you can do whatever the hell you want with it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you liked this video, found it informative, leave a like. If you want to know a better way of doing this, leave it in the comments. If you like this, let me know in the comments. That's what makes me guys produce these videos and help some people out with this. It's a pretty hard job to do. Not so much hard, but long, but it definitely can be done at home. You don't need a hoist. If you have a couple of friends over, it can be done. Just make sure you have some time set aside. Maybe I would say a little bit more than a weekend, but you should be able to do it. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned. Drop a like if you liked this. Thanks for watching. Bye.